PPE catch can, crankcase, ventilation, oil, water separation kit for the GM 3.0 liter Duramax diesel. This guy right here. We're going to be installing this, but before we do, we're going to go ahead and unbox this and see what's all inside. It is available currently as I'm filming this right now. So the part number is 114023,000. And again, crankcase, ventilation, oil, water separation kit. Let's go ahead and unbox this and take a closer look at all the parts, and then let's get it installed. Let's go ahead and cut this open. Get rid of the knife before I hurt myself. Nice molded hoses. Here's a bracket. I'm going to cut all this open. And there we go. There is the main attraction right there. Let's go into kit contents right here. We have the actual catch can itself. We're going to go ahead and open this up, but first we're going to go through everything, and then we have a bracket that connects it to the custom bracket, and this bracket's going to go in the fender well area near the fuse block. We have an assortment of clamps, a coupler. Here's our little catch can. This is super cool. Feels like it's all aluminum. Super nice. Or they say drain this about every 5,000 miles. So we have the hoses. This looks like a 1-inch hose right here, but then it's reduced nice and clean to fit the factory setup. So super awesome in that regard. There's a reason for the larger hoses, and it's an engineering thing, and I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to ruin it by spreading some misinformation. However, this is a nice tested, tried and true kit from PPE, and I like that it's all one size. Or one hose, you know, and it expands to the correct sizes to fit. Okay, let's go over the reason why I want a catch can on my truck. Now, these 3.0 Duramax diesels, all of them, the LM2, LZ0, they all have blow-by gases. And we've seen that because people actually have videos of them opening up the oil fill cap and seeing a bunch of oil vapor coming out of it. However, modern engines, blow-by gases are kind of a natural occurrence, and they kind of keep them all inside the engine, so it just burns off all the oil vapor rather than venting it to the atmosphere and whatnot. There's a hose right there that connects to the camshaft cover, which actually has a little valve that kind of opens and closes depending on the pressures. And that will send the oil vapor into the turbocharger, which will then send it through your engine. And as we know, oil vapor is oil, and it'll gunk up parts inside the intake system. We're not going to go deep into that. What we will go into is what we can do to prevent that. And what that is this catch can that we have. And so we're going to take off this hose, and we're going to route the catch can over to this area, and then it'll route back utilizing all the factory components, and they should be flawless. Let's go ahead and get into the install. Instructions are provided with the catch can itself, but I have it pulled up on my computer here, and we can go ahead and just scroll down. So there's the hose that I was just talking about. We're going to go ahead and disconnect that, and then we're going to put the coupler onto the main hose. Let's go ahead and disconnect that hose. Now, there are some special hose clamp pliers, which I have linked down below in the description, and I highly recommend that you get those because it's going to make it a lot easier. I've done this a bunch of times, so I'm actually going to be using just basic pliers right here, and I'm going to go ahead and fish that out, and then we're going to connect some hoses. Alright, so I just moved it back like that. I'm actually just going to use a pry bar to just push that off like that. So I believe we actually want, yeah, we do want it over there. Now, depending on how far you put that hose clamp, it's going to make it difficult installing the next hose. But let's go ahead and get that hose installed. Alright, we will start off with this hose right here, and we're going to attach the barb like so. Now, what I did was I routed the clamp at that orientation. We're going to see if that works for me or not, so use that for your comparison on how you want to install your clamp. But it's just a simple worm clamp. Alright, so this is going to go right inside here like so, and it's going to sit just like that. Now I'm looking to see if it's going to rub, and it is rubbing on my clamp right there. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this up right now. Let's see, test fit again. I'm snagged over here. So that's going to be sitting just like so, and I think that's going to be good without rubbing. Actually slips right in just fine. So then that'll be rotated like this. Maybe rotate it just a little bit more upwards. Third time's a charm, right? Let's go ahead and see. So it's going to sit like that. I think we got a winner right there. Okay, So I'm going to take this out so that way we can see how it's oriented. That way you can copy if you're happy with the way that it's oriented. Just go ahead and slip that back in. Actually, I'm going to point out, you could already see the oil on there from in that hose, so you can see there is oil going through. Alright, one-handed. That's slipped in. So we're going to go ahead and move that clamp over there. It's going to be a chore. Alright, this is where those fancy pliers would come in handy, as I'm doing a lot of rotating of my hose. Okay, so you can see that should do it. That is where we are ending up, just like so. Make sure we're not kinking anything back here. Everything is good and free. All right, I'm happy with that right there. So now we just got to get that other hose connected. This is going to sit right inside here. I'm going to go ahead and route this through here because I believe that's where it's going to go. Like so. So that'll be sitting like that. There will be a cover right here, so don't you worry. My stool just slipped out from underneath me. Checking rub points. Everything's looking okay. Let's go to the next hose. All right, using our super curve hose right here, I went ahead and started the clamp. I just set that in place, rolled it like that. So now we need to get this onto there. 2 hands needed. And now I'm going to walk this clamp down. All right, success. Using the screwdriver, we're just going to tighten this down. There it is, hose installed. Hose got stuck. No kinks. Go ahead and route this into there like so. So now we have both hoses inside there. Let's go ahead and get this set up over here and get that bracket on. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put on our rub saver right here. Let's just go like this. That keeps the sharp edge from rubbing through the hose. All right, now we need to remove these two 13mm. This one is gonna make a bunch of noise and be tight because there is Loctite on it. This one, I don't know. Comes right out. So we're gonna save these though, so I'm just gonna set it right there. Just go ahead and take this one out. This has been removed in my truck before, so yours may be tighter. We are in the right side fender well. We're gonna need to remove a couple screws. Yours may look different because this is a ZR2, so we don't have a screw right here like yours may have. But basically, we just want to be able to fold this back so that way we can have access into the fender. I moved quite a bit because I'm filming and I think I need more room to provide you views. So this is where I have it right now. Let's see if I need to remove any more or if this is good. All right, so I just aligned the hose onto the catch can container as well as the catch can itself. So I'm just going to tighten this up. All right, we have the catch can set up. This is the bracket. You can see I just set it in place. I'm going to slide that little lock in there. You can see how the hoses are going to be pointed backwards. That reservoir is pointed in that direction. And then we have our drain right there. That's going to be in the fender well. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up onto the bracket itself. First, I'm going to latch that in place. And I'm going to tighten this down. All right, I got the catch can mounted up to the bracket. As you can see, it's a spin-off top right there. Just have the nuts mounted. You want the hoses in line like so. So hoses in line with the catch can reservoir. Then we have the drain hose right there with the plug on it in relation to the bracket. Bracket sitting like this with the hoses pointed towards the firewall. So let's go ahead and drop this into the truck right now and get this installed. Feeding the drain in first, trying not to hit the hood multiple times. I'm gonna feed it in like so. It's gonna sit just like that. All right, so before we drop this all the way in, obviously we need to connect the hoses. So I'm gonna pull this out just a little bit, and we're gonna connect the hoses. I'm gonna do this as best as I can to get video footage. And before we go all the way in, let's go ahead and do our hoses. So the lower one is actually going to be the one that goes to the turbo. So that's this one right there. Let's go ahead and swap locations. So the lower is the one that goes to the turbo, like I said. We're going to just set that hose clamp on like so. Go ahead and tighten that up. Now the top one is the one that we put the hose barb in. That's just going to go like so. This one might be a little bit more difficult because of my angle, but I have it up like this for filming purposes. It's going to go right there like so. Tighten that down. All right, both those are tight. Now we can go ahead and slip this into place. There we go. Bolts that we used before can go back in right there. I'll go and tighten those. All right, in the fender well, you can see there's our catch can itself. Right there. Fender well should clear that just nicely. I routed the hose right behind this engine harness right there. And then what I'm going to do is just zip tie it to the fender well, I think, down below. We're going to get to that, but first I'm going to mount up the fender well and get this all secured. All right, with the fender well bolted up, there's no extra pop out for the hose, so it's not going to be rubbing on the tire when you turn. Now this is how much I have sticking down. You can cut this to fit. However, I might just tuck it under just like that. All right, so I actually just zip tied it right there to the frame rail. You see it come down right there. So when I go to do an oil change, I'll just cut the zip tie and then go ahead and drain it, and then I can re-zip tie it back up there as needed. All right, here's my end result. We have the hoses nice and smooth through there. Not going to rub and cut through right there. Catch can accessible right here. We could pull the filter out for service if we want to, just by twisting off the cap. We could pull this out, see if there's any crap inside there. That's a nice screen mesh. Make sure that clicks back in like so. You can clean that. Just make sure you do a good job of making sure it's fully dry before you run it. And we got the drain down below. We showed that. There it is. All right, all we have left are two washers, which I'm unsure where I skipped those in the instructions. So I got to go through that and see where these should have gone. I'm assuming they should have been on the nuts. However, I didn't want to put them on the nuts because the nuts have the little lock on there to grab in, and I'd rather have it grab into the plastic than onto the washers. However, that might have been where it needs to go. But I'm going to look into that, and that'll be later on. I'll figure that out. But that's the catch can right there. I'm happy with the install. It looks good. Can't wait to run it and see the results.